Hey guys, I just want to make a quick video to showcase this tool that I've made for my own personal convenience, but it is on GitLab, and so any of you could choose to use it. Now it's called go-init, and it's a very simple tool. If you're familiar with writing Go, then you'll probably know about the module system and how it's usually preferred to use a Git link as your module. And there's a lot of benefits to this, the main two being it allows the go command to work when it gets foreign libraries or it installs foreign projects. It will search the internet, I believe, in order to find where this module is because you're giving it a link to where it has to go. And so that's very convenient. In fact, that's how I'm actually installing this program. We'll get to that in a moment, but let me just showcase a small example I have. Here we just have a main.go file with a simple function that prints a greeting, but we're trying to reference a local package called greeting, which is stored in here. And now all greeting is here is essentially just an enum. It's really simple. It's just some constants. But the whole point is that it's in another package, because when you're working with Go, this immediately sort of becomes an issue. And you find that what you need to do is you need to run go mod init, and you have to supply it some package name. And as I've mentioned, ideally you'd use something that's Git oriented, a Git link. But then you start to get into this repetitive strain where you have to run git init, and then you have to run git remote set origin to a link, and then you have to set go mod init to a thing. And that's just sort of tedious, right? If you look here, I only have the greeting folder and our main.go. We don't have a Git repository here. So how about we go ahead and we install the tool. You can also obviously clone this and build it manually, but I recommend you just use go install because it's just really simple. We can run this. It shouldn't take too long. It's probably just internet if it takes long. Now, in this case, we can run which go in it, and we can see that we have it. If you run into any problems when you try to run the command, it's probably an issue with your path. You may not have the Go binary folder set up as part of your path. You would want to set this up in like a bash RC, or in my case, a ZSH RC. And in order to find where that binary is, it's essentially, you can just run go env go path, and then your binary will just be a folder inside of there. And that will just be where it is. And then all your binaries that you will install using go install will just be placed in there. And if that's part of your path, then your terminal should just have access to it. Okay, so now what we can do, this command will allow us to do two things. You see that it has a replace feature, but it doesn't. That's just for updating an existing repository. I'll get to that in a moment. But the main thing is, why is it called go-init? It's so we can initialize a project. So the first steps would usually be I just make a repository. In this case, I just have a test repository. You can clone it with either SSH or HTTPS. It doesn't really matter, assuming that you have write privileges and all those things. I usually use SSH. So instead of manually setting our origin remote and our go mod, what I can do is I can just run go init, and I can just give it this link. And you see it will initialize git origin and go mod to this. And you see it parsed the link to remove the .git and the git at. And if it was HTTPS, it would also remove other things. You see it replace this colon with a slash. And that's just some convenient automation, because it is a pain when you're just, especially for my link, when you see my username is that long, it would be a pain to manually type that twice per project. So now we have, if I do this, you see that our git thing has been initialized, and I can show that by doing a git status as well. If we now reopen here, let's go into our go mod that was newly created, and you see that that's also there. We should be able to now, if I retype this, you see my LSP detects this. I think I have to restart the LSP first. Classic problem with Go. I have that just bound to leader RS for restart in NeoVim. I recommend that instead of having to type the whole thing. And now you see we can actually just have this relative import properly using our module name. And so if I do a go run, we actually get our hey that we supplied. And so it's that simple. I didn't have to manually do anything other than run one command. And now, suppose hypothetically, we're in a situation where we want to change our repository that we're linking to for whatever reason. You know, sometimes maybe you just want to rename it or whatever. Probably not a good idea in a production like system, but you know, it's available. Instead of manually doing it, because once again, if you were to manually change this, you would have to change the git remote origin and you'd have to change the go mod, but it would be much worse than that because of all of these lines here where you have all of these imports. Every single file that uses one of these would have to be changed as well. And that would just be a nightmare. So what I've done is I'm essentially just using the find command with sed, and it will automatically replace every instance of the module with the updated one. Now, you do have to be a little careful because it's doing it stupidly. It's just doing basic text replace. So if for any reason you have the module path in some other string other than an import string, that's also going to be replaced. So especially if you're trying to use this without using a link, which it won't really work for Git, but it will, the command probably will still work for just like random words. That could also work, but it might screw things up, so just be cautious. And of course, make backups, make commits before you do anything crazy. Okay, I just had to quickly update the command to the proper version because I just fixed a bug. And yeah, so now if we want to actually replace this, we can go into our new repository that we actually want. We can copy the link. Let's try to run just go-init with the link here. Well, it's smart enough to warn us that Git repo already exists simply because the .git folder exists. But if we come in here and we add a replace flag, then it tells us that it is going to replace the old one with the new one. It just gets the old one by reading the existing go mod. Now, if I open up NeoVim and we look at go.mod, you see that now instead of test repo 1, it's test repo 2. And if we look here, this as well is now referencing test repo 2. Now, if you had NeoVim open the whole time, again, you'll probably have to restart your LSP because it doesn't handle changes like that well, but it's not a big deal. And if we try to run this again, you see that it works. So if this is a useful tool for you, then check it out on GitLab. But otherwise, I hope it was interesting. And I'll see you guys in the next video.